Namaskar, good afternoon. Anything that begins ends. Anything that goes up comes down. But it is not the end of everything. Probably in its own it has the potentiality to start yet again. So all seminar conferences, although we have a valedictory, it is not the end of knowledge in that particular theme. I came a little while ago and I was listening to the discussion here, and I could easily decipher that a tremendous amount of things remain to talk, to examine, to discuss, to exchange views. So this is the last and final valedictory one for this particular conference. Now, I'm not supposed to give any long lecture because we have a renowned professor in this field who is going to give us the valedictory. But even then, as a chair, I'm tempted to tell you one or two stories which will justify the debate and discussion on Mahabharata and Ramayana. And all of you know these stories very well. The one story is about the 10 blind men trying to define an elephant. And whether the blind man is touching the ear and thinks elephant is like this, or the leg and it's like this, whatever it is, the blind man who is trying to define the elephant is convinced in his mind this is the elephant. In a real world, all of us suffer from some kind of knowledge blindness because we don't have absolute knowledge on any subject. And we try to define, refine, understand, explain the concept, the philosophy, the stories in our own way. And our own background, our level of knowledge actually is reflected in when we are trying to either read a text, understand it, or explain it. The second story is about another, again, all of you know, but it is worth repeating like a mantra. A gentleman, not a gentleman, gentleman, but old man, along with a young son, going to sell a donkey in the market. And all three are walking towards that weekly market. One guy looks at them, they must be idiots. They're going to sell the donkey, and why all of them are walking? One guy can sit over the donkey. Father says, oh yes, beta, tu baith ja. So the son sat on the donkey and the father, donkey's son, going. After some time, another person says, what a cruel son. The old father is walking and he's sitting. So again they exchange position. And again they're walking. Then they're about to, they meet another person and he says, this is a heartless father. And they're idiots. If they're going to sell the donkey, why should one person walk? Both of them can sit on the donkey because in any case they're going to sell it. So both of them sat on the donkey. And then about to reach the market, somebody says, cruel human beings, bechara donkey. Just like the blind man, when we see a story, read a story, watch a play, watch some event, we try to interpret those things in our own way. This must have happened over the last 2 days when scholars are debating, discussing different dimensions, aspects of the great epic. So it is never ending. Then why are we having a conference like this? International perspective on Ramayana and Mahabharata. All of you know much better than me on this. I am not a specialist on this area. But all of you certainly realize the way, without reading it, I realize that when there is a Telugu text on this and one gentleman belonging to Telugu language is writing it, one or maybe 2, 3, I don't know, then there are forces, influences which is shaping the writing of that. When Sarla Mahabharata was written, there are other forces, influences which shaped the drafting of Mahabharata, originally written in Sanskrit. And the same Mahabharata Ramayana, when you go to Indonesia or Thailand or Malaysia or Japan or different places, then the local people, when they read it, because this is such a mine, gold mine, it all depends who is getting into the mine and collecting what. I came to know Professor B.N. Patnaik presented a very fantastic paper on war, who started war and all that, right? That means it all depends who is reading the text. Give a few chapters of Mahabharata to a sociologist, ask him to comment. All sociological concepts will come up. Give it to somebody, a strategist. He will look into the war and the Chakravyuha and so many other kinds of war strategy. Give it to a diplomat. He will comment more on diplomacy, right? So, but here, the people of diverse background, when they are really explaining this, it is such a treat to listen to others, what we cannot read ourselves. At least we can get glimpses of those ideas sitting here. It is like collecting gold. And yesterday also I said, today also I'm repeating that I'm really missing. That I would have loved to sit through and just listen. And in such a subject, I don't care whether 2 people are there or 100 people are there. There is no popularity race when you discuss such serious subject. You don't look for number of likes in Facebook for such a serious subject. So whatever number is here, these are the people who are interested in the subject, they want to learn something. So I really thank all of you initially that you are all here. And without wasting too much time in the valedictory, I request Professor B.N. Patnaik to give us some pearls of wisdom. We can collect it, and after his speech, I'm sure all of us will be a little more wiser than what we have been until now. Thank you for your attention.
Chairperson, sir, and friends, namaste everybody again. Let me begin with the observation that Professor Sahu made. See, when I said Krishna was Kuchakri, it was not my opinion. I was saying that this is the standard view of Sarala scholars, and I was quoting Surendra Mahanti, for whom I have tremendous respect. And they have all given their, they have all given their, they have all justified their position very well. Here I am not responding to, I said I have a different take on Krishna, but I didn't say anything about it. This is not the place for me to go back to what I said, but just one sentence, if you permit me. Krishna is called Purnavatar. Why was he Purnavatar? What did he do? At one level, if you look at the avatars till then, the only avatar who had Sudarshan Chakra was Krishna. Before that, no avatar had Sudarshan Chakra and didn't use. So, Narayana and Sudarshan Chakra are closely allied. So, since Krishna avatar, in Krishna avatar he held the Sudarshan Chakra, from one point, that is one point of view, because of which he was called Purnavatar. And in Sarala Mahabharata there are numerous episodes of the significance of Sudarshan Chakra and being killed by Sudarshan Chakra and moksha and all that. I don't want to go into that. That is one. What is my take? Since it is my take, it can be absolutely crazy and wrong. My take is this. When God takes when avatar comes, the avatar is constrained by the form that he takes, which is a known thing, you know. I mean, if you are born as a lion, you behave like a lion to an extent, etc., etc. So he took the form of a human. So he is constrained by humanness. That is one. And the other thing is, if he is constrained by humanness, then where is that vibhuti? The vibhuti. Where is the vibhuti? The glow of how do I translate vibhuti? I don't have a way to translate. So where is that? Where is his divinity? And the divinity of the supreme kind. So I have tried to understand this in the following way. You see, it is said that we have different gunas. We have sattva, we have rajas, and we have tamas. So Krishna was the ultimate in rajas. He was the ultimate in tamas. He was the ultimate in sattva. the worst of human beings. That's one. If you look at certain kinds of things, absolutely, super God in certain other aspects, pure sort of divinity, and so pure sattvic quality. Pure, he is the ultimate. He is the defining. He is a defining feature. He defines what ultimate is in terms of sattvic. He defines what ultimate is in terms of rajasic. He defines what ultimate is in terms of tamasic. So he combines himself these multiplicities. He combines himself all these multiplicities. Worst, at the same time, the most elevated. All combined in one individual. That's Krishna. That's Purnavata. So those who say that he is Kuchakri neglect other aspects, where Sarala projects all this. So my understanding of Krishna as Purnavatar from Sarala's point of view is that you see he is the perfect avatar. He is perfection in sattva, he is perfection in rajas, he is perfection in tamas, all contradictions rolled into one. That's great. That's a supreme concept of avatar, as far as my limited understanding of Puranic literature is concerned. So that's it. So coming to the theme today, see, there are a lot. I really listen to some papers and I have, very good, very good. The questions of leadership in Ramayana, the question of the subaltern element in, Mahabharata, and the politics of Krishna. So these papers really touched on a number of aspects. Now, sometimes in a joke I have said that time has come when our study of Ramayana and Mahabharata has to be released from the clutches of professors of literature. So now others will have to take interest and then enrich the study of these texts through their own perspectives. So just one personal example. I presented a paper on war long ago in a seminar on anthropology. They are celebrating Golden Jubilee or whatever of anthropology, Society of India. And I said something on Sarala Mahabharata. And at the end, some people that was a subaltern element in the subaltern studies. That session was devoted to. So some young people, from Kolkata University, they came and they were saying, oh, this is the ultimate, this is a great text in subaltern literature. What are they talking about? I didn't even know what it was. I had no idea of what I had said and how it can be related to subaltern studies. This is the beauty. That these are the texts which can be looked at from multiple perspectives. So now the time has come to really release this from the clutches of professors of literature, be the Odia, be the English. Okay, and then study this from multiple perspectives. The gain will be enormous.
This is a quotable quote. Please note it down.
The gain will be enormous. We will understand so much of ourselves. And to study Mahabharata, I'm talking about Sarala Mahabharata. To study Mahabharata is a way of discovering ourselves. What are my roots? Where do I belong? So it's a kind of discovery. So it's a great thing if all of us participate from multiple disciplines and from multiple disciplinary points and understand the text. So that is one thing that I wanted to say. It is very fascinating, these Bhasha texts, whether they be the Mahabharata, be the Ramayana, barring Kamban Ramayana and Tulsi Ramayana, the Bhasha texts have been generally ignored, generally neglected. Like Sarala Mahabharata, as other Mahabharata, how many of us have seen a lot of scholarship on, how many of us have seen, discussions on these regional Bhasha Mahabharatas in non-language, non-Odia, non-Tamil, right? They are not discussed. Generally, we have grown up, all of us have grown up with Vyasa Mahabharata. And that is why, when we discuss Sarala Mahabharata, lot of Vyasa Mahabharata enters into us. So we see things from that perspective. Like, let us say, what happened in Vyasa Mahabharata, what happened in Sarala Mahabharata, in terms of Draupadi's disrobing. Who was giving clothes to Draupadi? Was it Krishna? No, it wasn't Krishna. He simply told Draupadi, when she invoked him, he simply told Draupadi that, look, why are you worried about small things? You pray to God Surya. You had given him something, it's time for him to return. And all that he did was, While he was returning on Garuda, he saw Swarga, he saw sun, God's son in the sky, and he chided him. He said, "You see, you have taken this from Draupadi in a previous birth. Time has come for you to return now. Go." that is what he said. And what happened was, it was sort of Chaya and Maya sent by Surya to dress Draupadi. Krishna only was a facilitator. He only reminded Draupadi that you pray to Surya, you had given him something, he would have to return. He told Surya that you have taken something, time for you to return. An extremely powerful story. Look at Pingala's story in Bhagavata. Look at Ajamila's story in Bhagavata. They have been changed in popular imagination. He took the name of Narayana at the time of death and then he went to Vaikuntha. No, that's not what Srimad Bhagavata says. They, what happened was that they got I don't have time to go into these details, but to sum it up, what is meant is, see, if you have sowed something good, you will reap something good. It is karma phala. So if Draupadi was protected that way, it was because of her karma phala. She had done something earlier, she had given something, and she got it back. So that is, that was how. So what is God then? What does He do? He is a facilitator. The karmic cycle, the karmic cycle is an operation. And what the divine kripa, divine intervention, what it does is, it doesn't nullify karma. It gives you another opportunity. It facilitates. That's a beautiful view. That's in Srimad, that's in Bhagavata, and that is in Saradas. So I like this Draupadi episode for this reason. In our kind of managerial language, the thing is, there is nothing like a free lunch. If you have done something good, you will get something. Otherwise, no. So that's so there are many ways. There are multiple ways of looking at Mahabharata from various points of view. So I was saying this Vasa Mahabharata, Vasa literature has received neglect. So even today, when we want to connect ourselves with our classical past and our tradition and whatever, we are trying to do so only in terms of Sanskrit. That's not the case. So these stories were retold. So as many versions, so many perspectives. And a single, better than a single perspective is a multitude of perspectives. And these great poets told the story in which they sort of embodied their own vision, their own understanding of things. So Sarala did not retell the story alone. Sarala reconceptualized the narrative and retold. And reconceptualization would mean reinterpretation. So that is it. So I was just saying that let it be released from the clutches of the literature people, and let all of us belonging to various disciplines participate, and there will be we'll enrich this body of scholarship. There are other things. Look at one more example of a different type. See, Yudhishthira married an Odia girl. Yudhishthira in Sarala Mahabharata marries an Odia girl. And when does he marry? He marries when he was already into Banaprastha, having left the kingdom in the hands of Parikshita. So they were already into Banaprastha. So he came to Odisha, happened to come to Jajpur, and which was a very famous tantric center during those days solely. And then there, he married an Odia girl. Now, how do we look at it? Yeah, Suhani. The name of the girl is Suhani. So in those of us who are Odias, in the beginning I didn't understand what Suhani meant. I still do not know. I thought, does it have anything to do with the nose running? I don't, which is called Singhani. So is it something related to that? So somebody told me that yehi hoga, Anyway, so forget that part. That's by the way. Now he married an Odia girl, but why did he have to do that? Now see what has happened is for about more than 100 years, much of our brilliant, fascinating research on Sarala in our language have been on identifying the differences between Vyasa Mahabharata and Sarala Mahabharata. And the list is, of course, nobody has completed the list. The list is great. For example, nobody would say that Draupadi Vastrahara incident is new in Sarala. It is new. Draupadi was clothed. That is not the similarity. Okay, that's not the end of the story. Who clothed? Why? What was Krishna doing? So all these. So if you see, the episodes are many episodes are reconceptualized, many added, many deleted and all that. Suhani is added. Why did he have to marry an Odia girl? Now the standard view is he was localizing the narrative, which is of course a very important thing. You localize the story. Where is Yudhishthira story and North India, and he brings it to Odisha. So Shiva, he says that during a certain period when Shiva was living in incognito, he had left, Kapila, he had left Kailas where he normally stays. Where was he staying in incognito? In Kapilas. Now he brings in Odisha like this. Lots of Odisha things are brought into this. Jagannath, connecting Jagannath with Krishna. The story of Krishna's departure from the world is different in Srimad Bhagavata. In Padma Purana and Skandha Purana, the story of connecting Krishna with Jagannath is there. But Sarada connects it in a wonderful way. Tell me, in which Purana? In which Purana? I have checked at least this Skandha and Bhagavata and all that. See, how was Krishna, how were the murtis made? The murtis were made by Brahma. Murtis were Vishwakarma. So all celestials. That is how the murtis were made. In both Padma Purana and Skandha Purana. In Sarada Mahabharata, who made the murtis? They said, it is Jara who will make the murti. Jara is a tribal. And Jara says, look, I don't know. I have never seen even a picture. I don't know what to make of murti. How can I make a murti? I don't even know, I have no idea of an icon. How can I make murti? But that's what the voice of the sky says. That Jara will make the murti. And you see, so Brahma comes, Jara goes. So both of them are sort of kept in an enclosure kind of thing, and the murtis are made, and Brahma makes the murtis, and Brahma assimilates himself into Subhadra. There is a lot of interesting stuff about this which we ignore. Now, what is the point here? Jara, of course, doesn't do anything, but he was there. That is, whatever worship you do of Jagannath, the tribal element has to be there. So if you look at the tribal theme, start with Jara, start with Ekalabya, to Kiratasen, to others, and then come to Jara. There is an insistence. If you look at the story this way, you will find that Ekalabya was trying to find a kind of acceptability among the the Janapada dwellers, that civilized group. They were considered Anaryas, uncivilized. So he wanted acceptance. Okay, so that is one. There are other, of course, this is one part, one essence of the story. What did Kiratasen do? He said, I want to fight in Mahabharata war. They said, no place for you. Who are you? You are an Anarya. You cannot come and fight in a war among Aryas. That is asking for, standing shoulder to shoulder with us. Neither Yudhishthira accepted him, nor, did Duryodhana. So finally, to all this story, so finally, forget about him now. Now come to Jara. Jara is, Jara said, the acceptance came. That is the cooperation between the two cultures, Aryan and the Noryan, and tribal cultures came because of voice of God. Krishna wanted that Jara would be his worshipper. Today the Daitas worship, Jagannath during Anasara. That's the most intimate part of Jagannath worship. Who does it? Vidyapati, Pati Mahabhatra, he offers the formal pujas, but rest of it who does? The Daitas. So this is a continuation. Now what I am saying is, see, so if you look at this, the interesting thing is that is where the tribals and the Aryas, they came together. So this togetherness, the story of Sarada Mahabharata can be read as an attempt for the Aryas, the forest dwellers, to be accepted by the Aryans or the Janapada dwellers. This happened only at the end, after Krishna's death and all that. So this imagining Jara and giving him that kind of a place, is something remarkable. And I will just say one thing about this Jara thing, because Jara thing excites me a lot. Now see, it's a fascinating example in, look at the Puranic literature. We have bhakti of various kinds. Virodha bhakti is something which is celebrated in Sarada Mahabharata and in our Puranas and all that. That is, you be the enemy of Krishna or Bhagavan, the avatar, and he will kill you. And when you become his enemy, then if you become Krishna's enemy, the hatred of Krishna fills you with Krishnaness, Krishna consciousness. So you become Krishna Maya. And when Krishna kills you, you get moksha. So, that kind of thing. So Virodha Bhakti is there and various other kinds of bhaktis. We think this Gopi's Bhakti for Krishna, we think it's something to be remarkable. That Vaishnavic attitude, they would say, we don't want moksha. Because moksha would mean we will no more have access to Krishna. We will not have moksha, but we will live with Krishna. We will have access to Krishna. This is what we want. That is one kind of bhakti. And there are other kinds of bhaktis where the bhakta seeks God. The bhakta seeks God. The bhakta wants to relate himself to God. So, one way or the other. Okay, through Virodha, through other ways. So bhakta relates to God. I am repeating this. What happened in Jara's case? He doesn't care. He doesn't even know. He is not interested. I don't know how to make murtis. Why? He was asked to carry the log of wood from the particular place to the enclosure. Without him, the wood would not move. Why? He said, what is happening? Why am I expected to do all this? It's a beautiful idea and remarkably original idea in literature. And these we miss if we miss Bhasa literature. And what is the idea? Just as man needs God, God also needs man. Look at this idea. Murti, Jara will make my murti. When Jara touches, I will move. Look at this. He will offer me worship. I will take that worship. So this means that God wants him. He never he never wanted any of these things. So this, to me, this is a beautiful idea and very original. Look at the Puranic literature, both in Sanskrit and our own regional languages. Look at the literature. Where do you find God longing for man? It is always the other way around. So this really is something which I really liked. So anyway, so there is lots that can be done. Returning to Suhani to end. He married an Odia girl. He had already organized the narrative in many ways, connecting Jagannath and all that, and bringing in all this, making the Jagannath worship, that 15-day worship when Jagannath is supposed to not give any darshan to anybody and all that. The intimate puja is done by Daitas and all these kind of things. So he has brought in all this. The references to places of pilgrimage in Odisha and all that. So everything is there. What was the necessity for making Yudhishthira marry an Odia girl when Yudhishthira said, look, I am at an old age, my body is weak, I am not in a position to marry. We should, when all this was happening, and he married the girl. What did the question is not about Yudhishthira anymore, or what he did or what he didn't do. The question is, what did the narrative gain? It's a work of literature. This Sarana Mahabharata is a work of literature. It can be looked at from many other perspectives. But it is one of the perspectives, it is a work of art. It's a work of literature. Okay. Now, and it's a narrative. What does the narrative gain? By making Yudhishthira marry, that girl at the, when already he is into Banaprastha. What did the narrative gain? So that question has to be asked. It's okay. He didn't have, let us say, Krishna did not give close to her, somebody else did. What did the narrative gain? Or the question that sometimes is asked is, why did Sarala Das do what he did? No, I don't agree with that question. You will never get an answer. You ask me, why did I go to Kanpur? I will tell you 10 different lies. You will not be able to know, which lie is correct, which lie is not. So, so the question of finding out from him, why did you do what he what he did? Even if he were alive, sometimes it will not be possible for him to give him a proper answer to it. He may, that's possible. So I can't rely on that. I can only look at the text. What has the text gained, lost, etc., etc., by getting modified the way it has been modified. So what does the text gain? What does the narrative gain? So that question we have to ask now. By bringing in Jagannath, what did the narrative gain? It's the story of the Kurus. Mahabharata is the story of the Kurus. What did the narrative gain by bringing Jagannath there? Why did Sarala say, repeatedly Sarala says, that, this is Vishnu Purana. Why does he call, the story of Mahabharata Vishnu Purana? What did he do to the narrative? How does the narrative sustain this idea? Now, these are also the kinds of questions that we have to ask. So I think I have taken a lot of your time. Sorry if I wasted. I'm really sorry. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, Professor Sahu, to interact with you. Thank you very much.
My mentor and guru, Professor Chintamani Mahapatra, esteemed Professor B.N. Patnaik, Professor Sahu, distinguished delegates, participants and friends. Life comes full circle, so do conferences. We have come to the end of 1.5 days of most riveting, exciting and enlightening deliberations on diverse and unexplored aspects of our great epics. But I am sure this is just the beginning of a long journey. As Professor Mahapatra said yesterday while inaugurating this conference, that, and today also he repeated the same thing, that they are just like gold mines. The more you dig, the more you discover. And we are yet to reach to the core of these life texts. The epics define who we are, what is our sanskara, and how do we perceive life and the world, jivana and jagata. They contain answers to most critical questions that we encounter individually and also as a people and as a nation. They can provide us sutras as to how to respond to the terror incident at Pulwama. These epics have helped us survive as a nation in the face of serious adversities and diversities by instilling in us unity consciousness, or what we call Mahabharatiyata, as Professor Kapil Kapoor said in his keynote address. We started as a conference, but we are ending up as a great Indian epic family, joined by Professor Kionad, Sobharani from Japan, Mustafa from Bangladesh, Muniappan from Malaysia, and all others from across India. Hope this family will continue to exist, conference or no conference, and grow more and more with more and more members joining us from across the world. We are really fortunate today to have such a renowned and distinguished scholar like Professor Patnaik, who had written extensively on these epics to give the finishing touch to our 1.5 days of deliberations. Kalinga Institute of Indo-Pacific Studies is privileged to be part of this initiative. Founded by Professor Chintamani Mahapatra, this is just a 2-year-old baby trying to gain foothold in the vast academic world and intends to provide a platform to the young and budding scholars to explore new ideas and new frontiers of knowledge. KIPS strongly believes that academic discourse should not be Delhi-centric and not be confined to elite universities like JNU. It should follow a process of democratization. With your help and support, we would endeavor to have more such collaborations and initiatives in future. Conferences are mere words that vanish into thin air once the conference ends. Therefore, I would urge Professor Sahu strongly to compile all these papers in the form of a book that would be of immense help to all the academics and scholars working in this field. KIPS would be very happy to publish the book. So Mahabharat to a Mahabishwa, a peaceful and harmonious world. It's a long, long journey. We, the great Indian epic family, would traverse that path. With this hope, I welcome as well as thank you all. Thank you.
Dear delegates, scholars of epic literature, I am thankful to all of you to this international conference on great and epic international perspectives, jointly organized by Adhikavi Shalada's Chair of Odia Studies and Kalinga Institute of Indo-Pacific Studies, Bhubaneswar. I extend my gratitude to Professor Chintamani Mahapatra sir and partner of the event, Padma Shri Professor Dr. Pratibha Rai, Chairperson of the Bharatiya Jnanapitha Award Committee, distinguished scholars of Indian University, Professor Kapil Kapoor as keynote speaker, Professor Om Prakash Singh, Chairperson of CIL, Dr. Netaji Abhinandan, Director of KIPS. I invite delegates from abroad, Dr. Kjornar Elst, Orientalist and Indologist from Belgium, Dr. Shobharani Das, Otani University, Japan, Dr. Sarkar Mustafa, Jatiya Kabir Nazrul Islam University, Bangladesh, Professor Balkrishan Munipan, Wasan Open University, Malaysia, delegates and scholars of JNU, Professor B.N. Patnaik, IIT Kanpur, the distinguished eminent scholar, delegates and researchers from various institutions in Odisha, and staff and students, volunteers from JNU. During the 2 days internal deliberation on epic narratives of Indian origin, we could establish its historicity as well as its contemporary positions from social and cultural viewpoints. Most importantly, the conference witnessed how scholars of non-Indic tradition see the evaluation of epic narrative in Indic tradition conducted for 3 technical sessions. A wide and broad approach have been taken forward, and new dimensions of study of epic narratives has been established. The Adhikavi Sadaras Chair of Oriya Studies, CIL, express its sincere gratitude to all delegates and organizers and anticipates more communication in future. We shall definitely look forward for a full paper within shortest period for publication in a proper anthology. I am thankful to all of you for your timely support and cooperation, without which the deliberation would not be possible on my part. Further, I also thankful to all and invite you all for the lunch.
To kindly felicitate our speakers with the mementos. Professor B.N. Patnaik, Professor Balakrishnan Muniappan, Dr. Shri Umesh Sahu, Shri Chitran,
आप भी आ जाओ, आपके ध्यान से देखो भाई, सब हंस रहे हैं कि